Guys, this cake comes together in 45 minutes if you hustle, or you can spread it out over a couple days. But you guys, it is such a nice break from everything I've been having that's so heavy. It's a nice light cake and a vanilla bean whipped cream and some glazed strawberries. And you guys, it is unbelievably simple. You're going to love this recipe, and I'm going to break it down for you in less than 5 minutes. So let's jump in. I start off by getting the cake in the oven because it's what's going to take the longest to cool down. I start with water, oil, egg whites, and sour cream, and this just makes a really nice cake. I whisk that together to kind of break it up, and then I add in my vanilla cake mix. I'll have the recipe quantities down in the description box below. I also add a little vanilla bean paste. You guys could just use vanilla extract here. It doesn't really matter, but I do think the vanilla bean paste just makes it fancy. To prep my pans, I just put a little Pam in the bottom, and then I put a parchment circle over the top of that, and then spray it with quite a bit more Pam. And this really ensures that these cakes are going to come out beautifully. I split it among 4 6-inch pans. You could also do 3 8-inch pans if that's more your style. And I actually ended up leaving one of these rounds off when I stacked the cake. It was just going to be too tall. So yeah, 8-inch cake, you'll use all the cake to stack. So I popped that into a 325-degree oven, and then I started hulling my strawberries here. And we're going to actually chop these strawberries in 2 ways. So some of them I'm going to dice up, and that's to put inside the layers just to make sure that it cuts nice. You want small pieces, so when you're cutting a piece of cake, you're not like trying to saw through a strawberry. It's nice and loose in there. And then you guys, this is really important. If we just use regular strawberries, they're going to dry out and just not be as flavorful. So I take about 3 tablespoons of strawberry jam, and I like to use seedless strawberry jam, and I just put that in the microwave for about 20 seconds till it's melted, and then I add in my diced strawberries and give that a stir to coat them. And it's basically just like a little glaze that goes over the strawberries. And once I have that done, then I'm going to actually cut some more strawberries. And you guys, these strawberries that I'm going to cut next are for the top of the cake. And I like to just slice these so they're just a little bit prettier, and now I'm not so much worried about getting them to be nice within the layers. This is more for presentation. Once I have that, I'm going to do the same exact thing, melt a couple tablespoons of that seedless strawberry jam, and again, stir that all together so they're coated with the jam. And that's, again, just going to keep it from drying out and look really nice and shiny on top of the cake. You guys, I kept this cake super simple, and I'm just using a whipped cream. And you could totally use my stabilized whipped cream frosting, which I'll link that video down below, but I'm just making a straight up whipped cream. So heavy whipping cream, powdered sugar, and then again, vanilla bean paste. And you guys, those little specks, like, obviously they taste really good, but it's super fancy. So it's just like a nice little elevating trick for this cake. And I beat it until stiff peaks formed. Once my cakes came out of the oven, I threw them straight into the freezer so that I could get this done in a quick manner. If you wanted to, you could totally make the cakes the night before. And you guys saw how quickly or how easily those flopped out of the pans. So I just put a scoop of my whipped cream here and spread that out with an offset spatula, but you could totally use like a butter knife here or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then I'm adding some of those diced strawberries in. You really don't want to add too many, otherwise it's going to be hard for the cake layers to set nicely. So add in a decent amount so you get that flavor throughout, but again, don't go overboard. And if your strawberries let off any liquid, then you'll want to just use your spoon to just make sure you're grabbing strawberries and not any of the liquid that might be there. And then I'm just going to repeat that again, more of my vanilla bean whipped frosting, and then coming in again with more of my diced strawberries. And you guys could, again, totally do this with an 8-inch cake. As I'm doing this, you guys, the frosting is not super sturdy, so you do want to make sure that you are getting it centered up so that it can have the structure that it needs. And then I put on my third and final layer. Like I said before, I ended up using 3 instead of 4. And to finish the top off, I'm adding plenty of the whipped frosting here and then giving it a nice smooth. And this is kind of a rustic style cake, so I'm not really that worried about getting it perfect, which is totally my style. And once that's on there, again, I'm just making sure it's all centered and coming in with those sliced strawberries just for a really pretty presentation. And I just pile them in the middle. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but I just think it's really pretty. Just this simple fresh fruit and whipped cream and vanilla cake, and yeah, it's simple perfection. I get that arranged, and you guys, I love adding a cake topper. It is not essential. It works really well with a cake like this because the frosting is not super sturdy, so by putting that topper through, it almost acts as a support for the cake. You guys, check out this 30-minute chocolate birthday cake next.